Traveling here to this TED event, I was put in a seat on my last flight to Bangalore next to an Indian family. There was the father, the mother, a small baby, and then a small girl of about 7-8 years of age. Once we started the flight, the father pulled out 2 books, 2 textbooks, one in language and one in mathematics, and handed those over to the girl. The girl was sitting there with her nice dress and long dark hair, and we had this kind of smell of the Indian spices in this economy cabin. And the girl started to work on these textbooks, and she was doing so for about 5 minutes or so, and then suddenly you could start feeling the tension, feel that she couldn't really be in her body. The arms started to move, and she started to discuss with the parents, and you could really feel that she was kind of strapped in this seat and not able to do maybe what she really wanted to do. Glancing over, looking at the books, you could see that she had this task, this mathematic task, one after another, maybe 50 on each page, this traditional classical mathematical task. Maybe you remember your textbooks from schools back many years ago. That was what I could see there. And so no wonder that poor girl got bored. Fortunately, I had in my jacket pocket, I had 10 Lego bricks with me that I brought here today to this TED event, so you could start playing with this during this session here. So I gave her those 10 Lego bricks, and you should have seen the smile on her face from ears to ears, revealing that big smile, and she just started to play. She started putting this together. She created a small tower, a bridge, a tree. I think within the next hour and a half or so, she created 100 different things out of those 10 small bricks. And she was just totally devoted to that. She was forgetting about time and place. She was forgetting about being constrained in that flight seat. She was in a play dynamics. So, unfortunately, we cannot get to play with those bricks now because she has those now. So you cannot get to do that. What you can get, though, is in this talk, you can get the playware ABC, the 3 A's and the 3 B's and the 3 C's of playware, which will allow you to become as devoted, as playful, and as creative in the whole of your life as she was in those 1.5 to 2 hours. Now, playware is interesting because it's intelligent hardware and software that may create play. And play is important for many people. Another person, another small boy, Jason, he has a difficult life. He has cerebral palsy and lives in Tanzania, in south-central Tanzania, which is one of the poorest countries in the world. But when he gets to play with playware, he gets this kind of attitude. He gets into the play. He gets devoted. He just wants to touch these things when he goes to the children's hospital where they have this kind of technology. He just wants to reach out and touch those things. He becomes devoted. He forgets about time and place. He's doing these activities, and they help him do something to his physical health and his mental health. But he's not thinking about that. He's just playing. He's in a play dynamics. And play is interesting because play is a free and voluntary activity that we do for no other purpose than play itself. When we are in play, we are forgetting about time and place. We're transforming ourselves to something else. We get passionate. So that's interesting if we can utilize that passion in our whole life to bring new things to us. Of course, this is good for Jason when he goes to that hospital. But a few years later, you will find Jason at home, because in the society, a boy like Jason, and thereby also his family, becomes stigmatized. They don't want to bring him too much out in society. So you'll see him play around in his own house, play around in the African red soil next to the house, or on the concrete floor of that little house that they have. So what we need to do is we need to have a technology that we can bring to anybody, anywhere, anytime. We need something like this, like these modules, like building blocks, like the Lego blocks, things that we can take out of our pocket and just put out and put together, like the little girl were putting things together in the aeroplane, put this together in the house of Jason, and he can start playing with that. So that's the A of the playware ABC. You can make technology, you can make play for anybody, anywhere, anytime. Now, the way that you can do that is to take a modular approach. Modules can be many things, like robotic building blocks. Each block like this is like an atom or a cell, like in your body is created by a lot of atoms, a lot of cells. This robot is created out of a number of cells that can attach to each other. They can communicate with each other. They can process. They can do something. When the robot is moving around, it's changing its own shape from a snake to a car, for instance. We can, by that, create shape-shifting robots or self-reconfigurable robots. Out of many modules, we get robots like this. But it's interesting that we can also have people themselves to start building those modules. Instead of the robot creating itself, now when we put the user into the loop, it becomes the user and the technology together that creates the intelligent response. Like this 6-year-old girl, Freya, she can take these other kind of building blocks, put them together, and within minutes, she is creating a snake robot. She is creating a spider robot. She is creating a humanoid torso robot. And it's interesting that we can have these building blocks, like in this case, we can take them into the middle of Africa, give it to children in orphanages or anywhere. They take these building blocks, put them together, and start interacting with them. In this case, tiles, they can chase these colors around and play different kinds of games. Now, in one case, they're chasing for, each of them has a specific color that they're chasing, and one is red, one is blue, one is green. But in other cases, like this one here, they are trying to keep the tiles alive. They're counting down, and when they step on them, they shine up again. If one goes to 0 light, then the game stops. And they soon discover that in order to play this game, they need social play. They combine their efforts together. We're mediating social interaction. We're not making technology that does social interaction, but through this passion to the play, the kids are starting to make social play. And they can reconfigure, as we can see on the other side. When they make other shapes, they get different physical movements. So what you have actually learned now is that we can build bodies and brains. We can build hardware and software. We can build and we can program. And this is, in fact, very important because traditionally, philosophers and AI researchers, they have looked at a split between the body and the brain. Said, yes, we can make mechanical design of a body, but then the interesting thing is to create the brain, the software. And then we had a split between the two. What you learn now is that there is a tight integration between the body and the brain. And we can utilize that to facilitate making playware for anybody, anywhere, anytime, the free A's. So the free B's will lead to the free A's. Now, imagine this, that we freeze the brain now instead of, before we would imagine that we freeze the body, and then we make new brains. Now, in this case, the therapist is chasing a light around the surface, and he has a certain pattern. Now, if he changed the body, meaning that he changed the physical configuration of those tiles, but keep the same software, so you can see on the next one. Now he changed the body to become a line. He gets a totally different interaction pattern from the cardiac patient in this case, or from the stroke patient who's partly paralyzed in the left side. You see, he can put it up on the wall, and the stroke patient is trying to reach to progress in the game. He gets different responses from his patients depending on how he builds the body, how he builds with the physical things. The software remains the same. The brain remains the same. He's just manipulating the physicality. And look at that stroke patient who's partly paralyzed. He just wants to reach up. In this, on the right side, it's okay, the left arm. You see, it's so difficult, but he's doing those extra 10%. Why? Not because this is rehabilitative training. No, because this is a game. This is a play. He's in a state of play. He's forgetting about time and place. He just wants to progress in the game. So by doing that, he's actually becoming better and better with his physical abilities by playing games. But of course you can ask yourself this question, well, isn't play mostly for kids or young animals or so? No. Play is important in your whole life. Take this thing. In 1 year, 1 out of 3 elderly will fall. That means odds are that either one of your parents or one of your in-laws will fall this year. If that's your mother, she may fall and have a hip fracture, meaning that she'll become more immobilized, she will stay more at home, she'll not socialize as much in the future due to that. Scientific tests show that play with playware improves elderly's physical abilities, all their functional abilities, their balancing, their mobility, their agility, their strength, their endurance, in a statistical significant way after playing for just a very short while. Actually, it's much faster than doing other kind of training, because when you're playing, you're forgetting about time and place. You're doing something extra. As Vygotsky put it, for children, when the boy is playing, it is as though he's a head taller than himself, as we saw with the stroke patient before, doing just those extra 10%. Now, therapists can do that for training balancing. If you want to train balancing on one leg, you put tiles up in a half horseshoe and step around on those. You want to train for field of vision, you may put a full horseshoe around, so you have to go and look for different sides and so forth. What you're learning now is the 3 C's of the playware ABC. They construct, combine, and create. By doing that, they get different solutions. If a child cannot reach very far, they can make a small platform. Another child with another disease can reach a bit further. They make a slightly larger platform. They do so, they construct, combine, and create within seconds to make these different solutions. And creativity can, of course, be many things. So somebody comes out and says, well, to me, play is something else. I like sports and music. Okay, sports. You can take these things, since they're now modules, and put together in any configuration that you like. So if you do like sports, why not put them together to make a small goal and start playing football? As in this case, since it's modular, you can take it in the back of your car and bring it out to townships like Soweto in South Africa during the FIFA World Cup, into the FIFA World Cup fan parks and so forth. And then kids can start develop their technical skills in the sports. Simply by this playful interaction. They devote to the play, they become playful. If on the other hand you like music, you can take an interface like this with tiles, and each tile represents an instrument. blue is the bass, yellow guitar, light blue is the vocal, and when we put them together, we get one expression of the guitar. If you put it on the other side, you get another expression. If we put it over here, you get another expression of guitar. So we get different expression of guitar. So we can start playing music like that. And actually, the small girl who were in the airplane, she started playing with this. And after just 15 minutes, she composed a song to me. And I would like to play that to you because I was so impressed that she was able to do that within just 15 minutes. Isn't that really fantastic what you can do with the playware ABC? Look at that girl. She becomes so devoted. She becomes so creative. Look at Jason, the boy with the cerebral palsy. He becomes so joyful. Look at if you could get your mother to have playful training. Look at the stroke patient who's doing those extra 10%. They're all playful. They're in a play dynamics. So all I want to say to you is if you embrace play, you may be able
So that was wonderful, Henrik. I think always people think technology and medicine doesn't go together, and I mean, not in that way, but people don't think exactly how you have thought. What is one big thing that has impacted you in the whole 12 years or 10 years that you've been putting your effort on this? What is one big thing that comes to your mind that's mind-blowing?
Kids in Africa, that they start getting self-esteem. When they start to become creative, we give some tools and they become creative. They start feeling, I can do something. But you have to give them the right building blocks. right? But if you give them the right building blocks, then they can start expressing themselves. And that's really one thing that, that has influenced a lot.
And this is his first time in India, and he's come all the way. So what do you want to talk about India?
Well, India is an amazing country, I must say. I think that there's so many opportunities here. And really, really to the point of this TED event, all I have seen here is really high devotion to both to doing whatever you're doing to organize a thing like this, but also devotion to life, which is really very nice.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.